too.
Chuck getting all saucy back here.
Just in time. Thank you.
That's all for Steve. Well, howdy, everybody. Why am I in the upper left corner? I thought this was...
I don't know.
I thought it was your show.
Negative, Batman. It's Sparky's.
So here's the thing. We got Freddie Mac on the show. And Freddie, what was your former career before you were a YouTube superstar?
YouTube superstar, yeah. I was in law enforcement for 33 long years. Yeah.
And the way we had the show set up before, you were sandwiched between two ex-fire guys.
Yeah, well, we can set that back. That's right. Because cops got to have heroes too, man.
Well, you know,
right.
You know.
I was always told by the firemen that they knew how dangerous the scene was by the count of dead cops on the scene when they got there. So,
Freddie, that is exactly how we detect hazmat. Yep. How many blue suits or brown suits are laying on the ground?
Send another cop in. Let's see. Let's make sure.
we were the canaries, right?
That's right.
Right.
I tell you what, if you want a cop on the scene, just put out over the radio that there's a gun involved someplace, and you'll have
Or a
8
naked
million
person.
of them.
Or a naked person.
Well, Jim's
Man.
usually first on the scene for those.
No, listen, I'm not. Well, there was the crazy naked crack girl one night, but no.
That's hot.
No.
Do we need to bring Joe Brett in here to balance out the cop to fire chief ratio?
Hey, yeah.
Joe Brett's here. Hello, Joe Brett.
He's in the chat.
Well,
he's
he's in
like,
the
I'll be
chat.
dipped.
We
I'm
had-
an officer of the law myself.
We had a couple new people, a couple of young ladies had joined the fire department, and they'd been, maybe a month or two, and we caught a call for general medical or something like that, and we get on scene, and the subject was in the back of the police car, and he's about 6'5" and naked. And I just was like, it's all yours, ladies. This is BLS. The paramedic is going to
Got to
stand
start
by.
somewhere. Got to start
You
somewhere.
want to do this?
Right. That's right. So I've been traumatized by some things. Naked grandmas is not at the top of my list. Negative.
That was his favorite call, was the naked grandmas, right?
Yeah.
We had a young female
Uh-oh,
rookie
something's
years
happening.
back that got 3 naked calls, 3 naked guy calls in her first couple of weeks. So yeah,
Jim
He went
had
off
a-
camera. I hope Jim's going to make it. You know what I'm saying?
He's having a
He's
stroke
having
and
a
a
heart
heart
attack.
attack at the same time.
I think his Dr. Pepper went down the pipe.
Do we need to call 911? Oh, wait. Nope.
I
He
think he
retired.
got a little choked up on that call he was talking to us about.
Well, he took out his earbuds and walked away. So now we don't know if he's going to make
Well-
it back.
Well, that could just be a temper tantrum. I'm not 100% sure.
That's true. I'm not sensitive.
Should I call him on the phone?
Let's see if
Put it
he's
all
still
through.
with us. If he's probably ran into
It
his
don't
old
look
lady.
good. Don't look good.
So Freddie Mac, we wanted to bring you on the show because you have hit the YouTubes by storm, and you have made a couple of really interesting videos. I've been watching you, and I think you're an up and comer here. So I wanted to make sure that we were at the ground floor, so you remembered us when.
Right,
yeah,
right.
something like that, right? Well, I don't know about all that. I've been really fortunate, you know. I've always believed in approaching things the right way, respectfully, and just try to do the right thing as best I could. But the content's got to reflect that, you know. If it's not there and
Right.
people like it, they're not going to watch it. So I've always been, I haven't even known about All-Star but a few years now, maybe a year and a half. And I used to really like EchoLink, and EchoLink really ended up kind of letting me down. It just wasn't for me with all the way everybody could connect in all the time, and it was announcing all the time, and it was making a lot of noise on our repeater, so we ended up getting away from it. But once I figured out All-Star, it's like full of features and, you know, sounded better. So I just kind of been doing a deep dive into that with some friends and checking out the add-ons and whatnot, and trying to put out some videos to help anybody out that wants it. You know what I mean?
So you that's how you discovered the DTMF problem. I take it is using All-Star.
It's
Trying to connect to a node and you can't.
It wasn't getting any kind of response. Now, when I first put my node up, I had that Shari node first, and I was having an issue with DTMF, and it turned out to be a setting in the node on how it decoded DSP or filtered it out. Nonetheless, got it going. I thought, well, maybe that's what this problem was, but it turned out it was the radio. The radio's just putting out bad DTMF tones.
Jim, did
Sounds
you
like
meet
that should
Jesus?
be easy fix.
Man, that
Did you
was
see the light? Did you see the light?
just about. And
It
it
was
was a
glowing.
naked black man waiting for me too. I mean, I'm just saying.
It was glowing in your room there. I don't know.
I thought we were going to have to call the EMS services for you.
Oh Lord,
like-
I taught all of them. Please don't call them.
I was like, you turned redder than a baboon's ass, and
Son, it took me a second
Indeed.
because that soda went and just completely blocked everything for a second. I'm like, okay, I'm going to die on camera. This is awesome.
right.
I
Just
wonder
think
if
of the
there's, like,
views we could.
Yeah, we are going to rake in the views on this one, man.
We weren't sure if you were choking or having a temper tantrum though.
No, I was joking.
Adventures in Blind Videography, $4.99. Freddie Mac rules. The All-Star stuff is really cool.
Well, thank
Totally
you very
cool.
much. I appreciate it. I'm glad the All-Star videos are helping somebody.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're going to do when you put them out there, but gee whiz, thank you a bunch.
Freddie, if I
We
get
gotta
1,000
say thanks
views
real
on
quick.
any of mine, I'm always thrilled.
But yeah,
I'm sorry, was Jim talking?
Yeah.
So you said you had EchoLink and then you moved to All-Star. Did you find the audio quality was better or worse? How do you
Way
compare
better.
the two of them?
it was night and day. It was. I really don't. Well, I do now. I understand why, but I didn't at first. I'm like, they're basically the same thing, but I just didn't know enough about either one of them. And when I heard the whole backstory on All-Star about how it used the Asterisk software inside of it and different voice codecs that it can use, it had nowhere to go but up. It just, oh my gosh, it was just way better. But I had a link up, an EchoLink link up here that linked to our local repeater. Oh, gee whiz, early 2000s, and I had it hooked up to a PC and a little, I think it was an ICOM radio using a Rig Blaster no mic box, interface box, and it had a lot of reach. It worked really good. It's just, depending on what day it was, but there'd be days several non-English speaking country users would connect into our EchoLink and try to make a contact. And, we're rural Okmulgee County, Oklahoma. There's not a lot of folks here that speak Chinese. It's not going to happen. So, but it was, we just ended up getting away from it at the end.
They were giving you their support.
They sure was. I assume they was.
Yeah, I played with EchoLink when I got started, and it was like, I don't know, I just didn't see the point of it. I have to have a license to talk on the phone over the IP. This is like IP phone.
we had a EchoLink repeater close by, and that's when I would listen to the repeater, I would hear all this, EchoLink node joined. And then I was just like, well, let me check that out. And I really liked it at first because I would listen to EchoLink repeaters in areas where they were having bad storms, because I like to listen to that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And then when I got into DMR, that's pretty much all I did with DMR is just switch to the talk groups that were having the weather reports and stuff like that on it.
Yep.
And thought it was pretty cool. I've never ever
We
played
weren't
with
done with that
All-Star.
one yet, Jim.
My bad.
Thank you, Richie. Much
Richie,
Thank you
appreciated.
very
Appreciate it,
much,
man.
Richie.
I'm still low on oxygen. Somebody,
You're starting to get your color back.
I feel it. Woo. All right.
So what do you think's next after All-Star, Freddie Mac?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I've been working with a friend of mine on how well you can see that. You ever heard of the Enrico brand? They make network radios.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a network radio, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. And he's been using one for a while. This is the T310, and we configured DV switch on it and have been using it to connect through IAX protocol into the node. And you can use a node without a radio, technically. And he showed me how to configure it today, where I could use the hotspot in my truck, talk to my home node over the internet anywhere in the world. And I can either connect it or my 70 centimeter repeater that's also has a All-Star node on it. We've been messing with this, having a little fun with it. It's actually pretty cool. I don't know how much I'll use it in the end, but if I ever don't have a radio, I've been playing with this little CCR. That's the Baofeng that I call it a new one, the BF18H, the one with Barry White mode. Have you seen that video?
I did. That was
Oh
awesome.
yeah. It's not got the same lady on it.
No.
Channel mode.
I'm
Somebody's
like, well,
gonna get freaky with this radio.
all they needed to do was add a.
I just got
oh,
down.
yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah, I
right.
got this Watson a while back, and I was like, "Oh man, this thing is beautiful.
You mean
It's got a
Ocean?
great interface. It looks nice." And I turned it on, and I get the Baofeng lady, and the battery's dead in it. And I was so disappointed because I was like, now it just feels cheap that I know the Baofeng lady's inside.
Which one is that?
I don't know, the UV8 or something like that. I have no idea. It's the KG-UV8E.
Oh, wow.
It's not full. It doesn't have full frontal duplex.
Oh, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
then it's
That
dead.
must be the cheap model then. Yeah, forget it then.
I just bought a Couture. I'm going to call it Couture.
Cotre.
Cotre.
Yeah, there's no U in it.
Well, I live in Alabama, so my first thought was his name was Cooter. But anyway,
What is it?
well, apparently it's an $18 DMR handheld.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's probably
And-
the biggest piece of LaRue.
I'm pretty sure it is yet. Fixed antenna. It
What do you
comes
think, Abe?
channelized. I haven't bought a cable for it because I think I probably have a cable that will work, and I refuse to buy a cable that costs as much as the radio. But fixed antenna, and it's not front programmable at all. And one of the guys in the chat, and I can't remember who, bought it and said, "Oh yeah, it works on DMR. He's used it with his hotspot." I'm like, I got to see an $18 DMR radio. So
This one's a tri-bander. I was trying to remember why I got it. It's a tri-bander.
Oh.
okay.
You gotta
It tries to transmit on every band.
It tries to transmit on every band.
I'm just
At once?
right.
Well, at least 3 bands anyhow, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that new Ocean Wuxon Q series? Everybody's been doing reviews about.
the quad
Yeah.
bander. I've heard
Quad
of it.
bander.
I haven't touched it yet.
Yeah, I got one in, and the battery won't stay on. No matter
Oh,
what I-
damn.
That sounds
Well, I
so
was
bad.
saying that I didn't like it, and I was saying some rather unpleasant things about it. And then my buddy's like, he's like, "Hey man, you're kind of being an ass over there. What's going on?" And he's like, "You sound like you should be posting on QRZ." And I was like, "Oh well, I guess
snap.
maybe the jury's out." And he was like, "Well, mine's supposed to be here Wednesday." And I'm like, so I was
Making
like,
him
"Oh
feel
man,
good.
I'm sorry. It's like a fantastic radio. I've been wanting to get one. I just had they
Is
didn't
that
have the
somebody
color."
is that somebody in our chat?
Yeah, it was Hayden. I shouldn't
No,
say
it was
that.
Aiden. Well, I was guessing Thump. Thump was my guess on that one.
It's a quad band. You know Hayden's all over it.
Right.
Well, he's all over for the 6 meters, and he uses 6 meter FM to talk on low. I think he even owns a 6 meter repeater. So I mean that once he started explaining himself, it made perfect sense. I was being an ass. I was, and I was hating on it because it didn't
No.
have single sideband, which is ridiculous, right? Because it actually, when you look at it, it does look like a pretty decent radio.
Yeah, and it feels good in the hand too, and the audio is great as long as you can hold that
That's the
battery
most
on.
important thing.
Keep it on
Yeah.
there.
You got to put some stickum in that battery or get it on.
Yeah. Start to duct tape it, but nah, I just send it back.
Zip
We used to
ties.
use these old Kenwoods for bike to bike. They were business. My buddy has some business radios. And all of a sudden I go, "Did you hear that?" And he goes, "No, what? Did you hear that?" It kept, the batteries kept going like they were loose, and the thing kept turning off and on, off and on, off and on, all the way down there. And my wife and his wife are like, it was like the "Can you hear me now?" Thing.
It was probably like bloop 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 the whole way,
Oh,
right?
it was always beeping. I'm like, "Did your radio beep?" He goes, "No." So we finally just duct taped him shut, and that took care of it for a while. And then we went to bowel things.
What's up, Greg?
Don't be hating on the Fang.
So, Freddie, I was going to ask you, and I know
Fangs-
you
Fangs
gave
were
hey, I'm trying to save the world and bring education to everybody, reason for getting on YouTube. But what was the thought process when you just said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna enter the lucrative world of ham radio YouTube?
Well,
If hate was
sure
currency.
wasn't to make any money because I've spent more than I'll ever make back. I guarantee.
Amen, brother.
I've got August
Don't let our
1st. I
wives
start
hear that.
my
Yeah,
retirement.
mine's probably watching. Come on.
August 1st, I start my retirement job, which is only 2 days a week, doing some IT work for our county jail. So I'm like, I got time on my hands. I've always wanted to do a little more with my YouTube channels. The other one's the Okie Archaeology. I've been doing small town history. Did an episode on the construction of the courthouse, and fixing to do one on a couple of the smaller communities in the county, stuff like that. And the folks are really starting to show interest in it. But I start doing the ham radio thing, and it just starts climbing. It's taken off, and I'm like, well, everything I'm doing with ham radio every day, I look at the radio, I'm like, hey, well, that function right there's another video. I could be doing all kinds of stuff, every time I turn around, that's another video. I could do that. And that's what I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm surely not here to make any money, because it's just it's not unless something stupid happens and things get really big. But
Well, there's a secret club that we just haven't told you about yet because you're new.
We haven't told Jim yet.
What'll happen is you'll start to get a bunch of videos, and they'll get views, and you'll start to make some cash. But it really just helps to cover with expenses and stuff like that. So you can save up, maybe get a new camera, or maybe buy that HT or antenna or something like that you were looking for.
I certainly need the new camera. Lord of mercy. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started making videos, I shot them on an iPad Mini, and I didn't have any editing software, so everything had to be one take and all that kind of stuff. And,
They were flawless.
yeah,
That's getting you hard knocks earned right there.
yeah. But I mean, that's how a lot of people started doing it, and it was funny because I did a couple of Balfang videos, and I was like not even really interested in ham radio at all, and they did really well. And some of my buddies that I hung out with, we were getting into radio stuff, and because I had an IT background, I was stuck with the job of programming everybody's radio, and that's just how it started.
That's been me over the years, literally. I was emergency management director for a couple of years, and it was a volunteer position back then. And we had about, 20 volunteers, and we had no radios. The county could issue no radios. We barely had money. So we bought, a bunch of us off eBay, bought some old Centaur X9000 Motorola 100-watt mobile radios. And I call up the local radio shop up in Tulsa, and I'm like, what do you charge to program one of these things? And they said $75 for 16 channels. And this was 20 years ago. I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, I'm doing that. So after a long hunt on the internet, talking to the people who've dealt with the radio, I got my hands on the software, got my hands on a programming cable. And next thing you know, we wanted to add MDC 1200. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's like a push-to-talk ID for Motorola.
Yeah.
And they had a separate card put into the radio, and you had to program it separately. And it took me like a full day to figure out how. And then once I did, I'm programming everybody's radios for everything. As a matter of fact, I've been retired for 12 days now, or 13.
12. 13.
I was at the office yesterday programming radios.
And now,
See, I'd be like, yo, I better
MDC
get some
1200.
pizza.
Say again.
Go ahead, Abe.
I was saying, if somebody wants me to do stuff like that, I'm like, you got to get a large pizza and some beers.
I work for
Yeah.
a 6-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper, Yeah, Freddie, it's funny because doing it on the Motorola's is a ginormous pain in the butt. The Kenwoods, it's a click option in the CPS, and then every cheap Chinese radio in the world does 2-tone, 5-tone, and MDC 1200.
I've noticed that. I'm like,
Every
what is the
bloody
deal?
one of them. Yeah, I'm like, we had to pay extra. All the fire department radios, we had to pay extra to get that feature set in
All
the
the
Kenwoods
time.
originally, and then yeah.
And oh man, I couldn't tell you how many radios I plugged two-tone encoding and decoding into.
Oh, yeah.
Lord.
Oh yeah, we
But-
do have to make a business announcement, and Ape has mentioned it, and I want to confirm it. The pork chop sandwich debt is cleared. So the guys that
I was wondering if he was just starting a rumor.
the guys
he
that I
wouldn't
sent
stop.
after him, I've called off. It's good.
Right, he wouldn't stop with it. He's like, "Hey, when are you going to pay me that money back?" Sorry,
4 times a day.
So I got to show you what I got in the mail today. Ironically, it came
What you got?
today.
Oh
isn't
yeah,
that
Yeah.
fancy?
Oh man, I don't even have one of those.
yeah. I'm
gotta
waiting
pay
for mine.
it, Chuck.
I'm
I'm still
for my
on 1.0.
I ordered a handle for it from Arctic, but it didn't make it yet. So it doesn't have beverages in it yet.
Yeah, we cannot get those handles on any kind of deal that makes any sense. The handles cost more than the mugs do.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but I gotta have it for my arthritis. My hands just won't.
Well, yeah,
Well-
3 people have asked us about it, Freddie, the handles, and
Yeah.
they've ordered them, and I'm like, yeah, we can get them, but it's going to cost a whole lot more than you're going to want to pay for them.
Right.
And then it would change our shipping also, which is a
Oh,
fair
yeah.
amount of the money,
Yeah.
because that would not fit in the box we shipped it in.
Right.
Well, the tumbler's a good deal, and it's a good tumbler. I love the locking lid
Yes.
on it.
Yeah, when that's
That-
on there, it's on there.
Hey, buddy.
It ain't, and getting the lid off now that requires a little bit of work.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah,
And where can people
I'll
find these, Jim?
coffeeandhamradios.com.
Excellent.
We have 2 blue ones in stock right now.
With a
And-
green picture on them.
And with a green picture. No, we have 2 blue tumblers left. They weren't on the site the other day because I hadn't figured out how to give multiple options, and I got that straight. So there's 2 blue tumblers available, and the rest are green. So I think there's 25 or so green ones and 2 blue ones available right now.
It's the shipping that gets everything. So did you get that
Yeah.
500 mounted in your vehicle yet, or?
I got mine in there. Yes, sure did. And oh boy, I'm kind of hard of hearing all the years, early years in law enforcement when I didn't wear ear protection,
Mhm.
it just like the dumbest thing I could have ever done. I got to have a good sound. I had external speakers on my FTM 300 up to the front, and it did okay. But this one, since it's looking right at me, I've got it kind of up on top of the dash. I have a Ram, late model Ram pickup, and I got one of those, gee whiz, bullet point cell phone holders. And I was able to modify it to get the FTM 500 control head right on it where it's facing at me at face level, and the sound is perfect. I can hear it every time.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I've got a Jeep and somewhat knobby tires on it, and the road noise is terrible on that thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really excited about the front facing. I haven't mounted it in the vehicle yet. I still want to make a couple more videos on it, but I want to get it in there so I can start messing around with it. What antenna are you running with it?
I am running one of those signal sticks, dual band
Okay.
signal sticks. I call it signal stick. Is it signal stick?
Yeah, it's close enough. We know what you're talking
Super
about.
elastic signal stick, yeah.
Signal
The
stock
one for
maybe
the
for the
car is a
mobile
signal
ones.
stalk if you get that
Yeah.
one. They'll
Yeah.
both work.
Yeah. Freddie, you froze, man.
You got to try a 87 4Runner if you want noisy, man.
He's having a
Big tires.
stroke.
You're colder than
his
an ice
turn.
pop on July
And no
4th,
AC.
son.
Well, you probably hear my fan running.
Oh, there he
I
is. Now he's
rearranged
back.
the room. It's like hot up here. My shack's in an attic room.
Yeah, I have to turn down
TTO
the
must
air.
be getting lectured right now.
We got rabbits in the yard and drive my dog crazy, and we put the dog on a tie out, and the rabbits just don't care because they know she can never get her. So now the rabbit's like right up, like this far away from the trailer. It's awesome. Set the dog out.
So, Freddie, you do HF at all?
I used to. I'm working my way back to that. As a matter of fact, I'm saving up, and I tell you what, I wasn't sure what rig to buy, but I'm pretty much set on the FTVX10, the Yaesu.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I want to get, and I bought some parts to start making an antenna. I'm not sure I'm going to stick with that one just yet or not, but I have to put my antenna up in such a way that it's aesthetically pleasing to my wife.
Yep.
That's a hard sell sometimes.
Yep.
So I've also been looking at a lot of these different rain guttering antennas or something like that, and I've got to make it look good. I've got to make it discreet. So, but I'm
We know a
headed that
guy.
way. I want to do HF in the worst way. I don't know how active I'm going to be for like POTA situations and stuff like that. I'd really like to get there, but I got arthritis and I'm working with it. I have good days. I have bad days. It is what it is. But HF is what got me into amateur radio. It's just seemed like every time I got a rig, we have 5 kids. A bill would come up, some kind of unexpected something we'd need money for. And my rig always held its value, so
Yeah.
I'd sell my rig and get my money back always every time. If not, make a few bucks. And just never worked out for a long-term solution. But I'm in a better spot now. It's coming.
Well,
Some kids get away.
Down Under has dropped in. Oh, Hayden Honeywood has popped in the chat.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, I just texted him. I was like, "What's up, son?"
Where
Text him.
are you?
So
I'm posting Freddie's channel in the chat, so everybody wants to
perfect.
go there and check
Hey,
it
I
out.
appreciate that. I forgot to mention, I have a website. It's not much, but it helps you get to the channel. It's called hamradiolife.org.
y'all go
Nice.
subscribe to Freddie's channel. How many subscribers you got right now, Freddie, on the ham
Last I
channel?
looked, it was around 740 something, 748. I want to say just a little while ago before I
Good
came
deal.
upstairs. Yeah, I'm just. I know I keep saying this, but I'm just flabbergasted, and I appreciate it all. I really, really do.
Well, you're up to 757 right now.
Oh,
I think we can
all
have
right.
you to 1,000 within the month.
Oh, well, anything you can do, I appreciate it.
Oh, y'all go subscribe. If you ain't subscribed, you're wrong. I'm just saying.
I do my own web development, as you can tell.
Yeah, it looks
I-
great.
It's nothing
Freddie,
special.
I mean, Front Page 97 called and said it was jealous. So I'm just saying.
And that's where I'm at, man, aesthetically, because that was about the length of my web page
Yeah,
development.
mine too.
training.
And I quit because it's like, nope. I hate
Yeah,
this.
it's like,
this
dang,
sucks.
this is
I hate
hard.
this. I hate this. I hate this.
But yeah, it is what it is. And I've been reaching out to other guys. Joe Brett and I have exchanged some emails, and
Oh, sorry to hear that.
A secret
well,
cop thing going on. Wow.
Giving you all kinds of
Okay.
bad
how it is,
advice.
man. But
guy is
get
sketchy
some
as
pointers
hell.
here and there. Shane, geez, I can never remember the other side of the radio. Shane,
Yep.
Mm. Hey, Rolly.
Rolly, good A.
Rolly's here.
They don't say that in New Zealand.
He just said that. He said "G'day all,"
Yeah,
and I heard it
he
in
said,
Rolly's
He said,
voice in my head.
he said "g'day."
Yeah.
He didn't say "good
G'day."
day."
I'm from Chicago. I live in Alabama. Just deal with the accent, son. That's
Enough
all
with
I'm
the
saying.
excuses, Jim.
I know.
It is what it is, right?
You can only use it for so long, right?
I actually had a deputy who was working for me to the day I retired, who is from outskirts of Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh yeah.
And Jim, no offense, you remind me a lot of him. Just the way
Oh, you mean
talk.
a diva?
He said no offense. That means that guy's got some stories.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I want to use. On one of my followers.
Oh, okay. Now Tim makes a good point here. Do Freddie and Joe Brett exchange emails in cop speak? Be advised at this
10
time.
codes. 10 codes.
Myself and Joe Brett are 10-6 for our 10-10, 10-4.
At least the
The be
codes
advised.
match up.
That's funny.
Yeah, we were talking mainly retirement stuff, but yeah, well, and YouTube channel stuff, but we speak the same language for sure.
Yeah, they always say the word advised. They're always like, advise person, advise this, advise that.
Be advised.
Yeah.
Advising.
I mean, I'm friends with a ton of the deputies. Chuck probably knows a whole ton of cops in his area too.
I used to.
And it's amazing. It's like their own language. They would always say myself and the other unit number. I'm like, why would you say that? Why?
Because it's
That's how we
cool.
got taught. I guarantee you. We just
I'm sure it
can.
is. I know. It was always. Why would you start a sentence with myself? Say I, for crying out loud. So you're looking for the radio. You think you're going to get an FTDX10. That makes Charles happy, I'm sure.
Well,
Chuck
it's probably the best radio out right now in that price range.
Okay, I mean,
that's what I keep hearing, and a buddy of mine keeps wanting me to get the FT991A since it has 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and YSF.
I like that one too. I've got that one.
Well, if you
And
like
I'm
radios
still
from
torn.
1997, you'll like that 991A.
I mean, it's so old it's
That's
been
right.
discontinued twice, Freddie.
It's
Just
so
saying.
good. It's so good they just keep it around.
The VFO's in Roman numerals, right? It's
Right.
Oh,
great.
wow.
Yeah, the screen is actually a sundial, so it doesn't actually have an LCD on it.
How's 2 meter work on your Flex right now?
It works really
doesn't.
good because I got a
It does
transverter
not.
on it.
Oh, you do? You do.
You
not.
bought a transverter? I didn't hear
I
that
got it.
story.
Didn't need I know I needed to debrief you on my purchases all the time.
Well, now you know. Now you
it's
know,
a
son.
contractual obligation. Be advised that you need to debrief at all times. We need a situation report. And
I
we
bought
need
a
an
cheap
after action
Ukrainian.
report.
I bought a cheap Ukrainian transverter to play with on the
That's the one they-
6300.
that's
it's
that's
not
the
going
ones
on the
they say to get,
6600.
I think, ain't it?
How much was it?
It's like $150, I think.
I think put a one in the chat if you want Jim to go take a picture of this, so we can all take a look at it.
Jim is not walking.
Tell him
out to
what
the
you want
shop
the picture
in
of
the rain.
first, though, because you know how he is.
Doesn't matter
Come
whether
on,
you tell
son.
him what you want the picture of. You ain't gonna get it anyway.
Look
I
at all
mean,
them ones in the chat.
If T-Ray throws out a high money super chat, I would consider it. So I don't know how much.
I can't
T-Ray
believe
said
that
T-Ray
you're not
got,
going to
but
do this for the good of the people.
for the good of
Don
the
showed
people.
us his last night.
It's raining. I am not
Don
walking
had
out
his
to the
on
shop.
display.
I hear
Can't you hold like a bucket over your head where you walk out there? And
I still have my fire department raincoat I could put on, but
well, there you go.
no.
What we're hearing is you have solutions and excuses. Can we just get rid of the excuses?
Listen, it's not about me. It's about Freddie Mac. We need to hear about his ham journey. I have a transverter. It transverts. Okay, it's in a silver box.
We don't know
It says
this.
Off on 440 and 2 meters.
I just want to see how bad the picture is you take of it.
That was really where I was going to.
You.
We know how bad it was
Okay.
going to be. That's why.
All right. All right.
All
So
right.
do you guys remember? Have any of y'all ever used a auto patch on a 2 meter
Ooh,
repeater or a
Jim, get
Oh,
to stepping.
You some bitch.
Chip chop,
Just
boy.
stepping.
Go on.
T-Ray. T-Ray, I hate you. I hate you, T-Ray.
Holy
All the way to
smokes.
yeah.
I'm going to drink your free booze at Huntsville, buddy. I'm just saying.
Well, you better get the.
What's he bring?
I hope that's less eventful than when he was drinking the Dr. Pepper.
And then there were 4.
So no, I've never used auto patch, but I've heard people dial it up before. But I've never.
Thank you very much,
My
T-Ray.
wife has used it by a ham. The auto patch was the one the dial up, right, where you call. Where the,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used it up on the Rubicon one time, and the
Oh,
girls
no
thought
kidding.
that was
Pizza.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we
So, yeah.
when I got in '98, I got my ticket in '98. I had an ICOM 2100H, 2 meter only, mobile radio. It was my first ham radio, and I knew our local repeater had an auto patch, but you didn't hardly use it because the guy that owned the repeater was a pretty old fella, but he was pretty reasonable, you know. But he'd warn you, you use that auto patch, you better hang it up, you know.
Right. Don't
We
leave
get
it
in a
open.
pursuit one day, and we go over all the way over to the next county. And of course, I didn't even have a cell phone. The sheriff had a cell phone. He's there, and it's not working. You know, it's early days of cell phones and all this business. And I'm like, hey, we got an auto patch. I jumped right on there and hit the auto patch, dialed in straight to dispatch, told them where we was and that we were okay, everything's smooth. We got the guy in custody and all that other stuff. And I disconnect, and old Charlie, God rest his soul, had to jump right on the radio. I said, "You be sure and you hang up that thing. You got to hit the, you know." I think it was, there was a code combination you did to hang it up, and he was every time I'd use that thing, he was right there on the air behind me, telling me how to hang it up again.
He couldn't just hang it up for you.
Oh no, he probably could have. Yeah, but he wanted to make
Yeah.
sure you did. He was W5GA. He'd say whiskey 5 green apples on the air. He was something
Those are
I
not
like
proper
Charlie.
international phonetics.
Oh no, he never was that proper. But he'd make sure you hang up that auto patch now.
Probably because he had a bill associated with it.
Mm-hmm. And that was the thing right there. They griped about that auto patch, but it saved my butt a couple times.
Yeah, I think
That
that
was pretty cool. When the guy did that, I'm surprised I didn't join. I didn't get ham radio licensed then. It was cool.
It was a really neat feature. I've heard it abused one night. Somebody who I suspect was a non-ham dialed in, and they dialed into the police department. And made up this big story about a girl getting beat up by a bunch of guys and all this other stuff. Of course, everybody runs out there and nothing's happening, and somebody taught them how to connect to it over the air, and they had some fun with us for a little bit.
Could you make long distance calls and stuff like that with it, or?
I never tried the long distance calls, but I bet you could have. It was just a straight up POTS line, at a repeater site. But I never asked. I was so afraid to use it. But those 2 times that I did say
You weren't afraid of the technology. It was Charlie.
Right.
It was Charlie. You darn tootin' it was. I was afraid of Charlie. He'd find you. But he was a good guy. Don't get me wrong. He was really, really good. But he was all about teaching you something in front of everybody else.
Well, it's just a ham, right? That's what hams do.
Oh yeah, that's exactly
We had a
right.
captain. We had a captain like that. Chew you out right on the scene in front of all the people that were there, not just your own people. And then we had another one that comes back and he goes, "Hey, just don't do that again." When you're alone, So which guy do you think we liked?
Yep.
Mr. Subtle.
So I learned real quick how to be a better captain. at least that part
Now,
of it, anyhow.
I hope Jim makes it back okay, because he's been gone a while.
He might.
I hope he's
might-
drenched.
He might melt in that rain. He is a little frail.
because he's made of sugar.
Did you boys know he had the transverter? I had no
He
idea.
ain't saying nothing. That's the first thing I do when I get something. I share it with all of my close friends, and then
I
after
can't
that, I share it
believe-
with my next closest ring of friends.
Right. I can't believe how selfish he is.
Marvin, I did get the book. Thank you very much.
I didn't. I might have heard something about it, but I'm not sure.
About
He
the
didn't say much
transverter?
about it. Maybe he said he was I think he was looking at him one time. I didn't know he bought one.
Well, my son SDR does not need a transverter to do 2 meters. Just saying.
That's because you got a real radio.
My
The
EGAD
EGAD
supposedly
the
does,
EGAD
it too.
does it too, right?
Well, I've never heard anybody on it, but it supposedly has it.
It's
in
broken?
there. No, like today I got on 2 meters and there wasn't much out there either.
Well, what you
so-
could do is get your Baofeng UV6 and
Oh,
then
yeah, I
tune it
could
to the
just-
same frequency and key it up
Yeah.
and see what
I
happens.
could do that, yeah.
Jim, I am still going to tell them though, whether they want to hear it or not.
There he is.
Hey,
I couldn't find it, guys. Or did he take a picture?
He doesn't even look like he was out in the rain.
I know.
I don't see any water drops.
He said something about that
Put on that
raincoat
bumper
wouldn't
gear.
cover his. Oh, whatever.
We can wait, Jim. We got
He
time.
probably took his Dora the Explorer umbrella out there so he'd stay dry.
Anytime.
Well, he moves slower than dog. I mean, I ain't. He's muted while he's talking. You big old dummy. All right, so
Can I
where's the
help you?
picture? Where's the picture, son?
I didn't get a picture. I walked out there and got the damn thing.
All right, well, let's see it.
Ooh.
Oh, it must not have
All
been
right.
hooked up.
That's it.
Is that the same ones that Don has?
That's tiny. Medium
Don's
power
got.
dual band.
I think Don's got some
VHF,
fancy
UHF.
ones.
Don had 3 of them stacked up last night. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
Don's
saying.
got one for every band, and I don't care nearly that much yet.
How many? Well, you
Show
can
us
hook
that
2 or
wagon it's
3 to it,
dragging.
right?
Yeah, see the backside.
See the junk in the trunk.
let's see.
So it does 2 and 440 and
Far out.
Oh,
You
just
have to
2 and
switch it.
440?
or 440. You got to switch the band.
You can't do them both.
Hold on, let's look at the back of that again. So you have to feed the HF antenna into it, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. So you just leave that in line all the time with your HF antenna?
If you're using the transverter function, yeah.
So you have to put a switch in or something to turn it back off? Get it out of the way so you can do regular
Uh,
HF?
When you turn it off, it goes away.
It goes away.
Did you do an insertion loss measurement with your spectrum analyzer?
No, because it's not plugged in anymore. Because I don't care that much.
You don't like it or what?
I got no use for a transverter on 2 meters with a DX commander. I mean, I got.
The Excavator's resonant on 2 meters?
I know, and
But you can
again,
put up another antenna with it, though, right? That has 2 ports on it. It has an antenna.
Yeah, it's got 2, and that radio, the 6300, has 2 antenna ports on it. Yes, and there are 2 antennas on it. There's a DX commander, Rapide, and then a random wire 9-to-1.
But I'm saying that has a port for the UHF VHF antenna.
No, this is one antenna. So
Don, to be fair, he just got it.
yeah.
And Jim, if you're going to be doing the minimum number of pieces of flare, we're going to have a discussion.
Right. And Don, I'm going to say it. I don't really give a shit about it. Okay, I bought it because it was cheap.
Here we
Something
go.
to play with for a couple minutes. Jesus
He's
Christ.
not salty, though.
No, I'm not.
Not at all.
It's because he had to walk outside. That's what he's upset about.
That's what I'm upset about.
Well,
That's right.
He threw the
What did he
challenge
do?
down.
He threw the challenge down, and T-Ray
T-Ray,
answered it.
T-Ray came through. T-Ray came
He
through.
called. Bet, check, or fold.
So what's the next video there, Freddie? What are you working on now?
I've got a follow-up video coming up pretty quick on All-Star. I'm sorry, on Skywarn Plus for All-Star, where I configure the tail messages and courtesy tones when you get a new storm warning or tornado warning, tornado watch, what have you. The node will announce, like, I think I got it set for every 10 minutes. You know, if you have no activity for 10 minutes or something like that, somebody keys up, they'll say the alert again so that you'll know, what the alert is. And it's just a few short words like thunderstorm watch in your area, something like that.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, and then it also changes your courtesy tone while the warnings are in effect. So if you get used to those courtesy tones coming from All-Star anyway. So once the warnings are engaged, as it were, your courtesy tones change. And then once it clears, they change back to the default. So,
Does it sound an alarm when like a sane warning comes in? It is sane, right?
it only does weather right now, and that's a really good idea. Like
I thought it does warnings, doesn't it?
It does weather.
Weather
Warnings,
alerts.
weather watches.
Yeah, weather alerts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just pops up. It checks the internet like once a minute. You can change it if you want it to wait longer, but it'll check once a minute. And once it gets something, it'll give you that little Star Trek hailing sound. It's like the whistle,
Mhm.
and it'll say, and she'll say,
how's that go again?
Yeah, I can't quite hit the notes and smile at the same time because my mouth won't let me do it. But
Do you have
anyway,
your Skywarn number?
I do not.
Oh.
Okay,
For
take
this
that
to do
spotter
this,
training.
all it needs is your county code.
Yeah, I did the Storm Spotter class, and it's just like a
Yep.
2-hour thing where you have to sit there through a
Yep.
presentation,
I've
and
done
then
that several times.
and then you just take it. We all took the test together, so the guy asked us the 10 questions as a group, and we all got it right. So he was.
They never made us take a test. Maybe that's what we're lacking over here, because a lot of our real what we call storm spotters are either they work for the TV stations or they're emergency management volunteers. But around here, it's emergency management volunteers, mostly firemen, and the cops that are on duty.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, when we have a storm watch, they'll put the thing on the TV, and what they started doing a couple of years ago is they actually put the frequency of, we have a repeater that's part of the Skywarn network. And so, and maybe they always had it, but I just started seeing it, and I was
That
like,
is
wow.
way more organized than anything
That's
down
what I'm
here.
saying.
That is, I mean, that
You
is,
get
Our
new
repeaters-
members every storm.
you're part of a service, man.
Yeah.
Down here,
That's
the
public
boys
service,
get on the repeater and say, "Hey, it's raining really hard." No, Cooter, it's raining harder here at my house.
I've actually gotten on the radio and said, "Hey, we're getting some cloud to ground lightning over here," and had a captain with the police department jump on the radio and say, "Well, it's actually ground to cloud lightning." I'm like, because that's important that we know that.
That guy. There's always one of those
He's
guys,
that
Freddie.
guy.
Thank you, Charlie.
right.
I think we might have one in our chat.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That guy.
That guy.
That sounds like a fun project. Is it?
I
you'll be
think
working-
I think Skywarn Plus, Mason Nelson. I can't remember his call sign, but it's on the cover of one of my videos. He is a programmer. He's like, he dreams in code, and he's was into GMRS before he was a ham. He's sitting and making this thing better every day. He updated it again today, and I haven't even had a chance to look at it. But these little add-ons for All-Star, that's what really makes it worth it, I think.
No, that's definitely cool.
Yeah, that actually inspired me. I hooked it up. I saw your video and downloaded it and installed it on mine to play with it. It's installed. I think it's working. I haven't had time to sit down and test it yet when I'm at home where it won't annoy my wife if I make it go off.
And that's the one difference that I've been meaning to talk to him about. The original auto Skywarn, every time your node rebooted, it would prompt you and say it's active, that it's running. Where this one doesn't. You can make it do that. You can go in and toggle it to make sure that it's actually on, but it's on more than it's off. So he just hasn't inputted or integrated something that will function like that yet. But it'd be nice to know, because I reboot the truck node a lot. I turn it off. I boot it down every time I turn the truck off, and boot it up every time I go off somewhere if I'm going to go in the truck any amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to know that it's on.
Do you have one of those power? What do they call it? A conditioned power or soft power down?
I don't. What I do is the long way around the barn right now. I've got an app on my phone called Termius, and it's just an SSH terminal. And I can jump into the node really quick and just boot it down that way.
Star B1 will shut it down too.
Oh, will it? See,
Yes, sir.
That's something I did not know. And see, I just learned something from Jim about All-Star. And
because I was doing the same thing. I don't have Termius on the phone. I got another SSH client. I would log into it. Several times I forgot and just turned off the truck and went on my way and went,
Yeah,
oops.
I've done that.
And but then I was reading documentation somewhere and found out Star B1 will shut it down. I think B2 reboots it.
Sweet. I got to try that out.
Not with the
you. Yeah, that's
FTM
cool.
500, I might add.
That's for
But-
sure. I'll be using the Anytone for that one.
Right.
DTMF works really good.
Of course, maybe it's because I'm also not using an authorized cable from Yaesu for the extension.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
didn't use
reason.
their cable either. I did use it for my test in my video, because I bought their cable just to do the test in the video, but then I threw it in with the FTM 300 when I sold it. So
That cable's like long though, isn't it? Isn't it like 20
yeah,
feet or something?
well, the one I bought was 10. I want to take 10 or 11 feet.
Yeah.
I had plenty of slack.
Steve, what was that one I got? Was that like 10 feet maybe that we bought at Home Depot?
Yeah.
The Home Depot Cat 6?
Yep.
Oh yeah, and it works.
Yep.
It works just fine.
It's 8 wires, twisted pair. It's not rocket science.
I tried that test every 9 ways from Sunday just so there wouldn't be no argument about,
Right.
well, you should have done it with this cable. And then as soon as I'm
And you'll
getting all
still
done,
get an argument.
oh yeah, well, Kyle, AA0Z, he said, well, did you try that little short cable that came with it? And I'm like, oh crap, the one I didn't try. But I was
And
was
it
convinced
doesn't
by
work
then.
either, does it?
No,
Okay.
none of it.
So
made it any
Kyle thought the cable was the DTMF tone problem.
he suspected. He wasn't sold on any of it either, because I wanted to eliminate everything, because I'm going to call Yaesu and not
Right,
raise
right.
heck, but I want to know. I just bought a lot. I mean, I spent a lot of money on a radio that's still not got encode on DTMF. But
Well, when
Hmm.
I got the radio, since I got it when we were at Hamvention, and I installed it in my truck one afternoon at Hamvention, and
As one
So I hadn't-
does.
and I hadn't tested the cable. When I got home, I did,
I heard T.O. did it.
because I think John said something to us at dinner that night about you have to use the official Yaesu cable. And I put it on the TDR from work, and the TDR at work said, "Yeah, it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it."
Yeah.
He says you need a shielded cable.
Yeah,
that's-
so
That's what Ken
John
said.
was saying something that some guy had a problem that when you put the real cable on, it fixed it.
That wasn't a case for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I even tried it. I didn't do it on camera. However, I tried it with the head on the radio, with that short piece, like Kyle said, and it didn't make a difference. I was getting the exact same results. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
so we know 2 radios that will not send the right tones, 2 All-Star nodes that won't receive the right tones, and then you said you used a phone app that decodes DTMF, and it didn't either. So,
It's just,
I think we have PC here, Freddie. That's what I'm
I
saying.
really do. I really do too. We've got a probable cause to charge somebody.
Right,
It
the
is what
radio
it is.
crime.
Well, they're taking their time with that firmware update. I would have expected
they
that to be
are.
out already.
And I
They ain't
really expect
Zygo
the
now.
software to be out.
Well, hopefully it works when they can bring it out.
Yeah.
I went ahead and dropped the money to RT Systems and got their software at least, and it worked like a charm. Didn't have any problems with it.
Yeah, I got
Don's saying the
that up.
firmware that they stole from Oshan does not work.
Well, I think they used the Baofeng soft firmware on that DTMF.
Uh-oh. NLW saying he's still got a Mars mod, his. That doesn't look like it's too tough of a job. Not that I would advocate anybody do that.
I haven't looked it up on the 500.
Did you do
Is it
yours?
Not
pretty
without
much
being
the
I
same?
properly
either.
licensed.
I
Had a
posted the
million
pictures on how to do it in the chat.
It's one little
Yeah.
resistor or one.
Is it a
little diode
resistor
or
clip?
something?
I think
Yeah,
it's-
pretty much.
Yeah.
That was one advantage to these little cheap Chinese handy talkies. You want to do a mod on them, it's just like a key combination as you power it on and you're there.
Right.
You're not
Well,
tearing
one
stuff
time you didn't even
apart.
have to do that.
Right?
It just worked.
Well, that's an awkward pause.
So here we go. Don is saying that Jason says most Waxons work with All-Star. Don't they all work with All-Star?
Why wouldn't they all?
And that's the one thing I didn't try with that Q series. Of course, it was hard enough trying to hold the battery on while I was trying to do anything with it. So
Duct tape,
Don
man.
said that's why we have talk pop.
So are they sending you a new battery for that or what?
I told them I'm just wanting a refund. I mean, the radio was okay, but I almost didn't buy it. I know it's supposed to have all these features and it's a little over $200, but just when I turned it on, it felt like a CCR. I don't know why. I'm a little picky in that area, but when I couldn't get the battery to go on, and I seen a few other videos and folks are having issues and low wattage on 125 meters, I just like, you know what? I think I'll just try something else. So they're just going to
boy.
refund me, and I want to move on.
I told you, Hayden.
Yeah, Hayden.
They come in all the different colors, though, and I think that's going to be the...
And I got a blue one too. Everybody was saying the blue ones were hard to get. I don't know. I don't know how true that is, but I got a blue one.
Yeah, I know that-
Look, the red and the blue were back ordered.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know Hayden did not get the color that he wanted. He said he had to settle on a different color.
They claim that the batteries don't go on good because of the IP67 rating, but he said give it a little force, and I'm like, if I break this thing, I'm really stuck with it. But I couldn't get it to seat. I couldn't get it to stay on there.
You know, it's funny because everybody else's IP67 stuff seems to seal up just fine. Right?
Well, they probably
Yeah,
will.
it should fit on there, no problem. Now, the only
Yeah.
place that you can get those right now is buy two-way radios, right?
Yep. Well, that's where I got mine, and they're very good about it. They didn't give me any duff.
I wonder how many have gone back because of that battery problem.
I've been a bunch of them.
Yeah, you said it was a piece of CCR. What did you mean by that?
I bet I know.
Cheap Chinese radio.
Oh,
There
that's,
you go.
that's not the C I was thinking you meant.
But I like I like Joe's interpretation a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know who taught me that term, but it sure fits a lot of radios. And don't get me wrong, I've bought a lot of them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this little very white Baofeng I've got the receiver on it is awesome. Audio is awesome. You know, it's probably crap on transmitting, but
Well,
it's,
I mean, you're halfway there, right?
yeah,
Now you have a bunch of All-Star nodes.
I do. I built
So
you've
been-
3 now.
Okay.
With the TY. Well, I built 3 with the TYT TH9000D. One for a local club. Actually, I built 4. Sorry about that, because I got 2 here at home, 1 at the office, and the 1 up in Enid for that club. And then I built the first one I ever built was the Shari node, that Shari
Mhm.
High 4U.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it wasn't difficult. I paid the extra $5 and had them solder on the chip, the radio chip, the S888.
Yeah, for $5 you can't go wrong.
Right.
Exactly. And you know, I'm arthritic. I'm not going to complain about that. I didn't want to take the chance. But everything else I built in the node, put it together, and that's the one I have in the truck now because it's so small. And for 10 milliwatts, that thing's got a decent reach on it. I mean, you go.
Something's going on.
Nope, he's got to go.
That was Jim's, wasn't it? Nonetheless, that was All-Star.
It wasn't mine. I don't think it's mine unless you connect.
Wasn't mine either.
It must have been mine. We've been under a extreme heat advisory all day. It's like the hottest day of the summer today.
Mm.
Good.
Yeah, I don't
God.
like
So-
the heat.
Now your All-Star nodes. You said you did one with Sherry. Did you do one? So I've got a Sherry one. That's the one that I'm using for mobile. And then I
Right.
got one. I bought the Don SKT. Don pointed me toward it. I bought an Alinco DR135, and then the
Oh, yeah.
little serial adapter to take that 9-pin port to USB. And that's the one I've got set up here at the house. So have you done something like that too?
Yeah, I done one Alinco DR135. That's the Enid Club. I
Okay.
used the same sound card for all of them. I got from gee whiz, I wish I could remember his call sign. It's called technobygeorge.com. Him and Doug Crompton, WA3DSP. Doug, he ham VoIPs his website, if I'm not mistaken. But him and George, and he's got a last name I can't pronounce, Giovanni or Giovannos or something like that. They developed this sound card. They call it the ARA 1 Plus. $57.90 out the door. Shipping and everything. I got another one
nice.
in today. And all you need is to map off the radio. You need to know PTT, carrier operated squelch, input or audio in, audio out, and ground. 5 wires. And you just got to match them up with the sound card, and you're golden. But the TYTs don't have the 9-pin connector in it. That's why I had to make the videos, because you've got to put one in, get them in the right place. Oh my gosh! After you've got that done, you've got it whooped. You just set up your All-Star node on your Pi, and you're good to go.
I guess the one to get is the Sherry node, though. Is that the recommended one, or?
It's I don't want to say easiest. It's the most
Probably.
portable, and I mean around the house kind of use is perfect. It is perfect, and it's the for the longest time the hardest part about it is getting the Pi.
Yeah, I've got a stack of pies over here. I should probably get one. And I have something called like a pie juice that has like 4 buttons on it. It has a special case, and if you push the button, you can have a macro assigned to each one. But most folks will use one to boot it, one to turn it off, and then 2 other scripts that you want to run. Yeah.
Yeah,
Marvin, I don't think MFJ makes any radios.
I think he meant to say manufacturer.
Manufacturer, okay.
MFG.
Actually, they do.
So
make
he's looking for a
radios,
70 centimeter radio with a port on the back that he can use for All-Star.
Well, there's always the Alinco DR
Alinco, yeah.
Yeah,
435, 425, whatever they're.
435. Yeah, you had it right.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't the 6000 by Yaesu work?
It should.
Gee whiz, it
Has a
may. There's
serial
another
port of some
Yaesu
sort,
that
right?
will. I think it's the 7800, 7900. Gee whiz, it's a monoband. I can't remember.
I have a 7900 in the Jeep. I should go out and take a look at it. It may have a data port on the
What's
back.
it,
I
a
have no
9-pin?
idea.
If they've got a data port, most likely you can do it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been under the back seat since 2016. I have no idea
It,
what.
it had a
what's
data
back
port when he
there?
put it in there. It doesn't now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got other stuff in it.
I can't remember. I mean, the only thing I use it for is repeaters.
I should go grab my 8800, see if it has. I don't think it does though.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
got
the Sherry
it's got a
thing.
6-pin.
The Sherry thing
Does
is
it?
like Freddie's saying. It's just a pie and the Sherry and some software, and you're in business.
Yeah, you're in business.
The
So you're
Alinko,
drinking
what
that.
I did, I had bought the Alinko. Don and I talked about this, over a year ago, and it's been sitting on the shelf of to-do stuff. And the Alinko, and then that rim light adapter.
Oh yeah, I've got a rim light. Them are
Yeah,
awesome.
that's what I've got on the Alinko. And
Yep.
you got a Sherry Pi node. So I've got a, 15 or 20 watt, whatever. It's on low power. And
And
it's
that's the
hooked up
best
out in the
way.
shop on 2 meters, and I can hit it sitting right here. So
Yeah,
with an
and all
HT.
these the Alinkos or the TYTs that I use, I always put them on low power.
Yeah.
The first one I built one after the Shari. I actually built one with a Motorola GM300 using the rim light, and not knowing what I was doing, I didn't put a cooling fan on it and left it on high power.
Oops.
And I'm doing I was doing a net on a Saturday morning, and I thought my radio sure sounds funny today because there was an extra it was wintertime, a lot of people were checking in and everything. So I went back and felt of the dead burn radio, and it was too hot to touch. I had to kill it and turn my Shari back on and get back on the net. And then I realized after talking to a few people, and I said, yeah, you can put them on low power and put a fan on them, and they ain't wrong. But I'll put them on low power, anywhere between 5 and 10 watts. I put a good 120 millimeter cooling fan right on them.
I don't have a
And-
fan on mine yet. I was going to probably add one. Just
For your Shari node.
no, for the Alinko to keep a
For the
fan on
Alinko, yes, I
Yeah.
highly recommend that.
I mean, it's on low power, and it's not like it's not like Ham Radio 2.0's hub that's got 40 people hooked to it
Sure,
at this
And-
at this time.
because you never know.
Right.
Just make sure that fan is pulling air away from the radio. Because
Yeah.
my first mistake was to point it towards the radio, and it makes all kinds of noise.
TO for the win.
But we live and
You were
learn.
right. You were right, TO.
Right.
What was that, Chuck?
Nothing. Never mind.
Did he say something? I thought.
I thought I heard something.
What was it, Chuck?
I just checked the 8800. It does have a 6-pin.
Let's look at it, son. Come on.
Pop it up there, Chuck.
Show us your radio, Chuck.
I walked all the way out to the shop. I mean, I'm still tired from that, and that was after y'all made me choke to death and almost die.
Oh yeah.
Look at that hind end.
Yep.
Yep, that's the same port that's on the 6000 and the 891 and the 818.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll all-star, Charles.
Oh, Will.
Oh, Lightning Lee is asking a question. He says, anything you can build the software for and has USB. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Radio-wise, maybe an Anytone. I have a 578, and it has USB on it, and that's how you program it. Ergo, it has a serial port in that USB.
Serial,
So
but not audio.
But not audio. You're going to have an audio interface. But from what and Freddie checked me if I'm wrong, you could buy one of those $8 audio dongles off of Amazon, and that
If
could
you,
handle the audio interface, I think.
If you can wire it to the right points. I haven't tried to make one of those. I actually have the parts too because I wanted to. One of those USB sound cards.
Yeah.
You've got to have the right bias. You've got to have the right
Okay.
ins and outs. It's a little difficult, but and I've never tried it yet because it's so tedious to solder. But
Yeah. That's the beauty
what
of the
first
Alinko.
nodes were made for.
Do
I'm
what?
sorry, but
Go ahead,
well,
Freddie.
a lot of the first nodes were made for those sound cards off of walkies. The same guy that built that builds that sound card that I get, the Techno by George. He used to sell Baofeng walkies reworked. I think Jason Johnson did a video on it.
I think he did too.
They were reworked to have one of those sound cards in it as a dongle off to the side, and all you had to do is USB it into a Pi and configure your software, and you were golden. And
You
but
ought
it
to
ran off a
also-
walkie.
You ought to also be able to use an AIOC board to hook
Yeah.
up your Fang as your node.
Ooh.
Lee
not a bad
saying
idea.
Shari makes a USB version that will work with the
All right,
Envato.
all right. I got it. I can translate from Lee to Coffee and Ham Radios to everybody else in the audience. There was a question that I think Ken put up a little while ago about wanting to use a Shari node with his Envato Quadra, which is another single board computer that's in the affordable price range. I think they're like $35, $45 now, depending on which model you get.
Yeah.
The people that make the Shari Pi hat, it's Kits for Hams or something like
For
that.
hams.
Yeah. They do make a USB version of the device where you're going to run into trouble with it. So, like, the hardware all does the thing. Where you're going to run into trouble, quote unquote, is with the software. You've got to be able to get that software on there, and there is not an image for it. You got to do it all yourself.
Yeah, because Hamboy's version is made for the Raspberry Pi only, and
Yeah.
I think All-Star ASL version. I think there's a version you can adapt for Debian. But
Yes,
I
that's
don't know.
correct. That's right.
don't know
HamVoip
of
is
any-
Arch, and then ASL
Right.
is Debian. And I thought somebody had a Windows version.
I keep hearing of this unicorn. I have not
Okay.
yet found it.
The
And
Donald says that whenever his Shari is receiving, it also transmits, his radio transmits.
Well, if you're receiving through the network, your radio will transmit, but
And he says
Mine
his gets
doesn't.
hot.
oh, I bet it does. But if it's a radio, you've got to have a coolant vent on there for a lot of talking. You know, if it's going to be keyed up for a long time.
Don
better
probably
get
has
one
his
then.
underneath a pile of ATU 100 tuners is probably what's the problem.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different options. So
There really is.
I'm on a
That's the
quest
key.
right now to get a case built for the Sherry and the Pi, so that they're not. Right now, they're connected by the USB connectors laying on the seat of my truck, which seems to me.
Yeah.
a place
Can't
that
you
I'm
print something with that expensive printer you bought?
I was
only
trying to
got
do that, but I've
6.
had to do work.
You work.
What?
Yes.
Ain't nobody
Listen,
believe that.
That guy up there in the upper corner, yeah, he had me working today. Yeah, we were working on some stuff. We have a project.
Better get back to work,
stuff.
too. I'm watching the clock here, son.
How much time do you think you have off a break?
I ain't no probie no more. You ain't my real dad.
Just because it says 5-minute break don't mean you get all 5 of those minutes.
Right, that includes the time to get up from your seat and sit back in it.
That's right.
And you did take that break to go out and get that transverter also.
Break. Break.
Yeah.
You had that 5 seconds where
You
you
cooled
almost
off
choked
in
to
the
death.
rain.
Ken,
We
2 weeks
had a
ago, that's
guy.
right.
We had a guy at work that was
Yeah.
in my office, and he was complaining that he doesn't get it. He's like, by law, I'm entitled to a 15-minute break every 4 hours of work. And I was like, oh, work. So I said, you sitting on the phone talking to people all day? That's your idea. I said, well, I tell you what, we got a bunch of cables back in the data center that need to be, because we have just a big, huge box. Every time a cable comes out, it goes in the box. I'm like, I need them sorted by color and length and type. And I said, why don't you go get after it, and then we'll talk about your break. He's like,
Everybody
I'm
knows the law when they're trying to get out of work.
That's right.
Them out
Yep.
there speeding on the street. They don't know nothing about nothing.
Firehouse
Right.
attorneys, man.
That's right.
So, Freddie, we got a link to your channel in the description down below, and I think Abe still has it in his paste buffer. You can stick it back in the chat. And I wanted to thank you for joining us on stream here tonight. You've been a fantastic guest. We got to have you back in the future. Oh, I heard
Well,
that. That was a
I just
I
mechanical
heard it.
Hey,
He's a
on it.
tasting fool.
right.
I appreciate you guys having me. I really, really do. I can't say it enough. I've
Nah,
watched you
thanks,
guys-
man. It was good catching up.
Well,
Jim's
thank
catching
you,
pixies.
There's a gnat that's hovering around in here,
I hate that.
and he's like, he just wants to be right here. I mean, it's like if he goes over there, I wouldn't have killed him, but I had to end him because he was right here.
So, Freddie Mac, you
Initiate.
are welcome back anytime. You just let me know when you have something you want to share,
Yeah.
and
I sure will.
We'll
I
be
sure
here
will.
for you.
Working on a
And,
few ideas, so we'll see how they pan out, and I'll holler back.
Awesome,
What are we doing
man. Thank
Saturday,
you.
fellers?
Don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't have a plan yet for Saturday.
Jim, back to work.
Negative, Batman. Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Hey, Bob.
Pattern is fool.
The pattern is full.
All right, we'll see y'all later. I'm clicking a button. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good
Have a great
7:30.
night,
Thank you.
everyone. For having me.